Blended Learning, Subject Science by Tamika Smith. This blended learning unit was created for Year 5 Science and will consist of 10 lessons. The unit will focus on the content descriptor living things have structural features and adaptations that help them to survive in their environment, while focusing on these elaborations. It will end with a summative assessment where students work in pairs to create a diorama and a justification of why Australian animals have certain adaptations. The unit will aim to explore general adaptations living things have for particular environments, explain how particular adaptations help survival, such as nocturnal behaviours, silvery coloured leaves of June plants, and finally describe and list adaptations of living things suited for particular Australian environments. On this screen here is an overview of how the 10 lessons will be broken up, both online and face-to-face. Lesson 1 will be content facilitated by the teacher and conducted face-to-face. Lesson 2 will run synchronously online, allowing for the teacher to monitor progress and discussions. In this lesson, students will use the tool Mind Maps to share their understanding and their findings of the content. Lesson 3 will be content facilitated by the teacher and again face-to-face. Lesson 4 and 5 will run asynchronously with check-in tasks that allow the teacher to monitor student interaction with the materials. In these lessons, students will use the digital tool Prezi and upload their findings to their team's class page. Lesson 6 is a recap of facilitated content and conducted face-to-face. Lessons 7 and 8 will be run asynchronously, again with check-in tasks to monitor student interaction. In these lessons, students will be working on their summative assessment. Finally, Lesson 9 will be conducted in the classroom where students will share and present either live or pre-recorded versions of their assessments. To look at the assessment tasks further, it will be in pairs. Students will choose one living thing in an Australian environment and describe and list things about the adaptation. Students will then create a diorama of this environment and living thing and use this to help justify why the adaptations are needed. It will either be presented live or pre-recorded. This is a great way to conclude the blended unit. To further break down some of the activities during these 10 lessons, let's look at Lesson 2. In Lesson 2, students will conduct an activity using mind maps. This will be done in an online Teams environment. Students will work in groups of 3 or 4. The teacher will assign each group a different environment to research. They will then research this environment and gather information regarding adaptations needed to survive and live. Each group will put all their information into a mind map to display their findings and share back with the class. This activity is being used to explore general adaptations. Here is an example of what a response might look like using mind maps. Students can use both words and pictures to help convey their understanding of what they have learnt. A second group activity was conducted during lessons 4 and 5. This activity was conducted asynchronously, allowing for students autonomy and responsibility for their learning. Students will work in groups of 3 or 4. Students are free to choose group members. In each group, students will choose one creature or plant to research with a focus on an adaptation that is vital for its survival. Using this information, students will create a Prezi presentation and upload it to a folder in Teams. Each group will watch others' presentations and we will convene back as a group and discuss what we have learnt. Students can choose to work in person or online to complete this task. Having the blended unit allows for students to work through all the content in a flexible manner. It provides ample opportunity for equitable participation, differentiation, and collaboration while building students' ICT capabilities. Overall, this blended unit was developed to immerse the students in the science concept of adaptations, more specifically to target the Year 5 content descriptor. Living things have structural features and adaptations that help them to survive in their environment. This was done in a range of face-to-face lessons and asynchronous and synchronous virtual lessons via Teams, where other ICT tools such as mind maps and Prezi were utilized.